Good morning, Peter. Good morning.
Good morning, boy. It's just unbelievable. We're up to our necks in snow here. Oh, I've never been so cold in my life.
Hey, it's been good and hot. A little bit of a heat wave all of a sudden.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's pure panic sweeps the city. Pure hysteria. Beep, beep, honk, honk. If I sound like I'm all revved up, it's because it's driving me mad.
Hey, I want to go off script here just for a moment, and that is on a couple of issues. Number one, what do you think of Dennis Rodman going back to North Korea? I mean, isn't that a bomb ready to go off?
Well, you know, as crazy as it is, as crazy as he is as crazy as the little, I was going to say Chinese guy, Korean guy is. If he does something good, and I don't know what in the world it is, I don't see the harm. I really don't, because, I mean, he's a crazy person dealing with a crazy person. So maybe something nice and good will come out of it.
Well, that would be nice.
If you were there, I'd want him to go and get you.
You're right. That's a good point. And maybe, who knows? Maybe Dennis Rodman, of all people, can accomplish something out of all of this. I guess.
My wife and I have decided that when we retire, it's going to be either North Korea or Zimbabwe. They sound like two lovely places.
All right. A New York-based arts organization came under fire for staging a production of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar starring Donald Trump, or at least a lookalike, right?
Yeah, but it's a big controversy. I don't think the reaction has been strong enough because in the show, and I haven't seen the show, I'm only getting the reports that I get, is that he and his wife, who seem to be very much like the Trumps, are murdered in the show. And, look, if you dislike Trump or you dislike any president, you dislike any politician, that's okay, but that's a little unsettling. And I think they're just grandstanding to kind of get the attention. But there's probably going to be a lot of people who are going to go. The Blasio and Schumer have already said they're looking forward to seeing it.
Did you see his little parody yesterday that he was doing on the cabinet meeting of the Trump's cabinet meeting? I mean, I thought he was just sitting there with a group of his people making fun of the president. I'm not sure that's the most respectful way that that's not what we would expect out of our U.S. senator.
No, it really isn't, and the venom is still flying around. It's unbelievable. But we're getting what we voted for, I guess.
Mayor de Blasio in New York City was asked by somebody to not drive a fleet of SUVs to his Park Slope gym 5 days a week to maybe save money, and how did he handle that?
Well, his response was that if he rode the subway, which he has occasionally, it would be grandstanding. I don't see how it would be grandstanding. I think it presents a proper image. Plus, I'm pretty sure he would get wherever he's going a lot quicker. So the fact that he's kind of knocking the subways, I don't know. Well, look, I just don't like the guy. When it comes to him and Cuomo, I can't think straight.
When I was a kid, just out of high school and started in college, we all went down to New York City, and let me tell you, it was the sex shops. The minute it got to be dark, it's like they all opened up. It was like that's what New York City was. That's what Times Square was like years ago. And then Giuliani came in, he cleaned it all up. Well, now they're trying to reduce the number of sex shops, I'm hearing. And
it's like there's certain laws that you can only have so many liquor stores in an area. So they want to do the same thing. They want to put in the law.
Have a limit.
A
limit. Limit the number. Limit the number, right?
Yeah, limit the number. You see, you're a man of words. You got it out faster than I did. So that's not a bad idea. Times Square is starting to look very sleazy again. Maybe it's because the weather is hot. But there's too many con jobs going on there. There's too many fake homeless people going on there. It still needs an awful lot of cleanup. I don't know if I can blame de Blasio for it. I can blame him for everything else. Yeah. But it's slipping backwards. It really is.
And those, you talk about fake homeless people. Those people walk away. You hear stories of them making a lot of money from just panhandling in Times Square.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I can spend hours telling you all the routines, and sometimes I stand there, and I just want to walk over and say something to the tourists, but I can't because, after all, I'm a Times Square person. Our business is there. I know all the people in it, so I can't start becoming a cop. Cops just don't do what they're supposed to do.
I do want to ask you, I know there's a big mob situation going on in New York. 30 members and associates of a New York City-based organized crime group are now named in federal court papers for racketeering and murder and stealing products. You might be surprised by their last names, however, right?
Yeah, Russian.
They're Russians. Yeah.
Well, not to knock all the Russians, but when they first started coming into New York a number of years ago, the story was, now we're going to have the Russian Mafia, and they're going to take over the city. Well, they're not taking over the city that bad. Fast. There's a lot of people here who are criminals. But the thing that caught me cute about that story is among the things they had stolen was 10,000 pounds of chocolate. Probably Putin had sent in an order for some.
It was like, is this, of all things to steal, though, chocolate?
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to tell you and your nice listeners. It intrigued me in the same way. Stealing chocolate. Maybe that's not so bad.
All right. And how about a little advice? Advice that a guy by the name of Terrell Coleman did not follow when he brought his girlfriend to New York City on her birthday and ended up in the slammer. Something you're not supposed to bring to New York City.
Yeah, well, and I think it's pretty much in parts of New York State also. You can't just walk around with an unlicensed gun by this state. Not, the fact that he had it for, I think, what was it, Pennsylvania, didn't mean anything. And of all things, he leaves his hotel room and he puts the gun under his mattress. Didn't he figure that the maid was going to come in and clean the room?
Yeah.
So, of course, she comes in, finds the gun, rats him out, and he'll be in the clink. He'll probably get some kind of penalty or fine, or maybe they might put him in jail for a while. So, folks, leave your guns home.
And I think he was a licensed carrier, but in New York City, that the rules are different. Care. So yeah. And then one final item. I don't know if you saw, but Tiger Woods is on his way back to rehab, and not for his back, but it's ultimately the back that probably caused this problem. It's an addiction to prescription meds, and and you got an interesting story there. Where is this problem happening? But now you've got an Upper East Side doctor that's facing federal charges on distributing millions of these opioids.
Yeah, I mean, that's the critical word right there, millions. I mean, you must have a sore hand or a broken wrist from writing out the prescriptions because, they're now starting to point out that there's probably more addiction to prescription drugs than there is to the street drugs. So this guy, he's really done a lot of damage to a lot of people, and I think because he's sort of like the first big case, they're going to really sock it to him. If you're going to do a crime, don't be the first case. Be like about the fourth case.
Well, I got to tell you, too, Peter, the numbers we're talking about, he wrote more than 14,000 prescriptions, and you wonder why there's a problem in this country. 14,000 prescriptions that totaled more than 2.2 million oxycodone pills. Between June of 2012 and January of 2017. That's crazy.
It would have been better if he'd been giving out Cialis.
It would have been a lot of smiling people out there. All right. Peter, best tour in New York City. It really is. He'll take you to places in the neighborhoods that you probably don't even know about, didn't know existed in the first place, but it's a great tour. You just contact you through your website via email, and away you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Peter Franklin, the Gabby Cabby in New York City.